Now, let's get to the Los Angeles Lakers head coaching search, please. That is now focused on UConn head coach Danny Hurley. Hurley recently won back-to-back NCAA basketball championships and has a top-5 team returning this season. He's reportedly been the obsession of Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka, whom he'll meet with this weekend along with team owner Jeannie Buss. The Lakers, according to ESPN's very own Adrian Wojnarowski, are looking at a potential deal that would be significant in its length and salary. Now, Hurley has not made a decision about leaving UConn, but he did inform the university of his interest in taking the job. Woj will join me momentarily, but I wanted to give my take on this Lakers situation really quickly. Danny Hurley deserves this job if he wants it. Rob Pelinka, according to the exceptional reporting of Woj, has been obsessive in his pursuit of Danny Hurley, and rightfully so. He's a two-time national champion. He's the best in the game right now. We've seen other coaches come onto the pro ranks, the Brad Stevens of the world, the John Calipari's of the world, and others, and have some degree of success, including Billy Donovan. Let's not forget him and the job that he did at the University of Florida. I'm not going to forget the job that Darvin Ham did, because he did go to the Western Conference Finals his first year. He did lose lose in 5 games to Denver in the first round, but both losses were to the Denver Nuggets, led by arguably the greatest player in the world in Nikola Jokic. So we got to take that into consideration. How much more can Danny Hurley do? I don't know, but I know if anybody deserves the shot, he does. And I'll leave it at that, because I got to get to my next guest right now. Joining me to talk more about the Lakers coaching search is the man who broke the story for ESPN, the man who breaks most stories when it comes to the National Basketball Association. I used to be an NBA insider, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say this in all honesty. I was never this man. My next guest, senior NBA insider, recognized for breaking the news, reporting on the league over the past decade plus, one of the best in the world. He's the host of the Woj Pod and the Woj Report, both on YouTube, by the way. Please welcome my buddy, my partner in crime on NBA Countdown, one of the best NBA insiders in the history of this profession, the one and only Adrian Wojnarowski. What's going on, big time? How are you, sir? How's everything?
Stephen A., I'm great. Good to be here with you.
Man, thank you for being here. Let's get right to it. How big of a possibility do you think it's going to be that Danny Hurley is going to be the next head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers?
Stephen A., there's a real possibility, and there's traction in these conversations between Hurley and the Lakers. The job is his if he wants it, and I think that's been clear to him for some period of time here. And it's really just been the last few days where now he's going to formally meet with the Lakers. He told UConn that he was going to do that. He told his players that. And he flew to California on a Thursday night, and today's Friday. And so he's going to meet with, as you mentioned, Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, and sit down with them and see what this could look like. This is not done. He's not made a decision. It's certainly at the time that we're talking, but he is seriously weighing this. And the NBA has always been an ambition of his, and the kind of job the Lakers is and what it represents and what it means in the coaching fraternity, you could make a case it might be the most pressurized, most famous, most storied seat maybe in all of coaching, and maybe not just basketball. So I think all of that appeals to Dan Hurley, and he's looking hard at this.
To get back and to give folks on the outside some insight to all of this, we've heard numerous people reporting that there were numerous candidates, most notably our colleague at ESPN, JJ Redick. The inside info is that I want to let America know that when I was thinking about that, the one and only Adrian Wojnarowski would come over to me and say, wait a minute, it's not quite going down that way, Stephen A. Let me hook you up with the intel, and that's exactly what you did. Paint a picture for what the situation has been leading up to Hurley being in this position. Was it always him? Was it numerous people like a J.J. Redick? Was it really nobody at all? Was it really all about Dan Hurley? Break that picture down for my audience, please.
Stephen A., the other candidates who they've talked to are viable, legitimate coaching candidates, not just with the Lakers, but will be with other teams. But Rob Pelinka identified early that Dan Hurley was the coach that he wanted to hire, but he didn't know if he'd be able to get him. He couldn't just spend 2-3 weeks pursuing Dan Hurley and hoping to get a chance to get down the road the way they have here at the end. And so he has interviewed other candidates. And if Dan Hurley says no to this job, then it's going to circle back to the J.J. Redicks, the James Borregos, among some others. Sam Cassell, who's an assistant with the Celtics, is interviewed. James Borrego, there's been different variations of interviews in this. Borrego, they did an initial wave of candidates while they're waiting to see if they could make any headway with Hurley, where they brought in guys and they got to know guys that they hadn't interviewed in the past. Remember, they just did a coaching search a couple of years ago.
Right.
So they had met with some of these guys. They did sort of an informal, like more of a get to know you with a bunch of guys, including J.J. Redick, including James Borrego, because there just wasn't familiarity. They brought Borrego back for a more of a sit-down, formal, all-day, let's really dig into an interview. They hadn't done that yet with JJ, and I think they would have if the Hurley thing didn't start to accelerate here. And again, if Dan Hurley turns down the Lakers or they just can't come to an agreement, again, this could come back. JJ Redick is a coach or a coaching candidate that the Lakers have had a lot of interest in. They preferred Dan Hurley, which you could understand. He's, two-time back-to-back champion. He's been coaching a long time. There's a lot to be intrigued about with Hurley. So, we've been reporting about interviews and permission the Lakers have gotten from other teams to talk to candidates. But that's, as far as the Lakers are concerned, those were candidates that they were talking to, that they were getting to know and moving down the road, only if they couldn't get Dan Hurley.
What exactly are the Lakers looking for? And I only ask that question, Woj, because, again, listen, I understand why the Lakers felt the need to make the move with Darvin Ham. I knew Darvin Ham, and remember, you and I were standing together, and I knew Darvin Ham's days were numbered when I saw what Anthony Davis said in the aftermath of Game 2, losing Game 2 in Denver, and was talking about how disorganized. I was like, oh, my Lord, that's bad sign for any coach. So I knew it then. But what exactly are the Lakers looking for in their next head coach? Crystallize that for us.
The Lakers want to build out a program, a way of doing things from top to bottom organizationally, and giving the coach, giving Hurley a lot of latitude to do that, and to partner with Pelinka, the front office, in really allowing him to kind of redefine to them of what a Laker, it would be a Laker Hurley player, style of play, system, all of those things that they think Dan Hurley can bring and what they've seen him do at Connecticut. You look at Billy Donovan going to Oklahoma City, and listen, he inherited a team that was ready to win a championship. Hurley wouldn't be doing that. Quinn Snyder in Utah took over a team that was in the lottery, drafted Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, developed them, became, a viable Western contender. You've seen college guys come in. The ones who've had success have kind of had a partnership with the front office, to build out a way of doing things. That's what Pelinka wants to do with Hurley. He is certainly, you've seen players just really develop at UConn. Donovan Clingan, the 7-footer, who will be one of the top few picks in this draft. Stephon Castle in 1 year at UConn. We can go down the list. They've gotten guys better. They have maximized the guys they have. And you've seen a system in place there that has dominated college basketball. They lapped everybody this year. Yeah. They won a national championship where they outscored their opponents in this tournament, Stephen A., by 140 points. Wow. John Wooden never did that. And so the level of dominance is, has Rob Pelinka's attention. And so what he wants is, instead of just going team year to, a team, is, again, building out a program. A coach who can get Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura and Max Christie, improve those guys, drafting well, developing those guys, but you're LA, and you're always going to have access to, either through trade or free agency, to great players who want to come here. You have to have those players. You know who they are, Stephen A. If you're going to play for a championship, we can list, one of 6 players, 7, 8 players. You better have one of them, or you're not competing for a title. Maybe the list is even shorter than that. So what Pelinka sees is this history in LA of, Jerry Buss had Pat Riley and Jeannie Buss had Phil Jackson. He sees Dan Hurley as that next legacy coach for the Lakers. That's what he's banking on here.